Hello everyone, I hope you are doing well. I am doing great and I'm excited today to be sharing with you guys once again on this podcast, Beautiful. My name is Leanne and today we are on the third episode of this podcast. So before I go any further, today I think I will start with a verse instead of starting with the topic. So you might guess what the topic would be about. Let me see. You probably might guess it. So I'll be reading from Daniel chapter 1 verse 10. And it says, put 3 dots before I start reading because there's something before that. And it says, I fear my Lord the King, who has appointed your food and drink. For why should he see your faces looking worse than the young men who are your age? Then you would endanger my head before the king. Right? So as you might have guessed it, today we'll be talking about beauty and food. Right? So obviously we are human beings and we eat every day. Yes. I'm sorry, I was just thinking, that there are some people who are in circumstances that they are not able to eat every day. But for the most part, people have the opportunity to eat every day. So for those of us who have the opportunity to eat every day, I think it's even better that we take full advantage of this opportunity because not everybody has it, right? To have food and to enjoy that food. So since we are building on becoming beautiful, because we all have that bucket of beauty, since we're building on becoming more beautiful, moving closer to that self-actualization of beauty, or that best beautiful version of ourselves, I think food is one of the very important things, because what we put in is very much what we see coming out. Food goes directly, obviously, into our stomachs and finds its ways into our body, is broken down actually first, and then goes into our body and is distributed, goes into the bloodstream with nutrients, etc. So it's very important for our food to be helpful to that process of just cleaning and building our bodies. Because when our bodies are not working well, our bodies are very logical. They will go and protect the most important things. For example, the brains or the heart, the lungs, the kidneys, the liver, right? So our skin and other components that maybe the body might feel are not, as important are left to just wilt, basically, I would say. So there are certain types of foods that are very helpful, that help our bodies to stay nourished and to get ready in case there is a season of malnourishment or malnutrition, right? So I will start before I get into the foods, I'll start by water, right? I think it's very important that we all drink water if we're going to become beautiful or to be more beautiful. And as you might have heard in the last episode, if you did not listen to it, please feel free to go and check it out. The last episode we talked about an inner type of, not an inner type of beauty, but something intrinsic that expresses outwardly, which is the countenance, right? So when we drink water, water goes into every part of our body. And our body, I think, is 65% of water, if I'm not mistaken. And our brains are, I think, 75% of water, if I'm not mistaken. So, for us to be settled, as I said in the previous episode, for us to be settled and not worried, having that gentle and quieted spirit, our minds must be steadied. However, considering that our brains is basically the organ of the mind, our brains are 75% of water. If we are dehydrated, we are not operating at the right efficiency that we should be. And also, considering that the brain is 75% of water, if we are dehydrated, we make ourselves vulnerable to things like anxiety and depression, or just being easily irritable, right? Excuse me. So it's very important that we drink water, and our skin is almost completely water. So when we don't drink water, even the color of our skin may deteriorate, even the color of our eyes may deteriorate, even the color of our lips. Those parts of us that define beauty are deteriorated because we're not drinking water. And this is important to the body because water serves to clean, serves to, refresh, and do many different help in digesting the food and distributing the food. So that's why we find that even if people don't get water for a long time, they can actually die because water is that important. So I would like to encourage that we drink a lot of water. You may notice that even if you wear makeup, if you are not properly hydrated, you might wear makeup and be okay. But if you drink water, if you're properly hydrated, your makeup will sit so well on your skin because your skin is healthy, it's breathing already. So even the other things that we add onto our cells or onto our bodies are also well received if we are hydrated, right? So that is the first thing that I wanted to encourage when, going through this, I wouldn't say journey, but I guess it's a life journey of continuously being beautiful, right? So water is first things first. We need to drink water. Then secondly, now going on to the food. We read in this verse that this servant was afraid that if the food that was being given to these boys was to be changed, this food could actually change the way they looked, right? So he was afraid that if you eat the wrong stuff, I'm going to be in trouble. But they told him that, no, don't worry. What we're going to eat, you can actually test. What we're going to eat is going to make us look actually even better, right? So the story is basically about them eating more, like they ate vegetables only. They did not eat anything else. They ate veggies and also drank water. I don't think that they drank juice. I was trying to see, but they were given just veggies and nothing more delicate. And they were not given any more delicacies. So I just want to also encourage that our bodies communicate externally, like garbage in, garbage out, like I said in the beginning, right? So what we put in is what we're gonna get out. If we put in a lot of fat is needed in the body, but good fat, right? If we put in a lot of fat, our bodies are going to communicate that we have too much fat here it is. It will start to show in some other areas. That can diminish our beauty. I'm not saying that if we have more fat in other areas, we are not beautiful. No, we're still beautiful. But if there's anything we can do about that fat, especially for health reasons, definitely we should try it out, right? And sometimes some of the foods that we eat might not be fat. For example, it might be too much sugar. That too much sugar may actually affect our blood, and we might end up having like diabetes and things like that. So that might be a problem for us. And it shows as well when we are consuming too much sugar. We might even break out a lot, or sometimes even show symptoms of diabetes, right? So the other thing that we might eat that might diminish our beauty is too much salt. Too much salt will cause us to have high blood pressure. And usually when we have high blood pressure, our blood is not moving properly in our bodies. We really, the skin on its own does not breathe well when we have high blood pressure. It's very good for our blood to be flowing easily in our bodies. But when we have high blood pressure, there are a lot of highs and lows. So it's good to avoid overindulging or, overeating these three foods. But then on the flip side, of course, there are other things that might be harmful substances. Those definitely will diminish our beauty. For example, sometimes you might look at yourself, maybe if somebody who used to smoke, if you look at yourself maybe 30 years later or something like that, you can see there's a difference between someone who smokes and someone who does not smoke. And I'm not shaming anyone who smokes or saying that, someone who doesn't smoke is a better person than someone who smokes. I'm just saying that smoking, because it is toxic to the body, it also shows outside. It also shows that maybe our lungs are suffering. There's some extra toxicity in our bodies. So that could be one of the things that we might that we actually should avoid, and other things like alcohol as well. So with that being said, now let's move on to the good food, the food that will make us beautiful, the food that will make us glow. Honestly, I think vegetables and fruits are the most recommended. But it's not that we have to have the same kind of vegetable and the same kind of fruit, right? So we can just enjoy ourselves by going to try out different types of vegetables and different types of fruits to see which one works better for us and which one we enjoy. And we actually can find which one is best for the skin, which one is best for the eyes, and ultimately this will help us look more beautiful. So today's session was much shorter because I was just sharing on food and beauty. I was not really, specifically sharing which kind of food, although I have my own personal philosophy, like this will make this work and things like that. But I just want to encourage us to eat better, to avoid foods that will cause us harm, because it causes us to fall sick at the end of the day, and it ultimately shows, even though we're not yet walking sick, it shows if we're not healthy internally. Otherwise, I hope that this helps keeping ourselves looking more beautiful and feeling more beautiful as well. Otherwise, from me to you, bye-bye.